Hello. Just gotta put on my glasses here real quick. Maybe I shouldn't have pressed record so soon. So I figured I'd start with, this isn't an advertisement. This isn't a paid advertisement. I was honoring my good friend, Young Was. That was my good friend Cyrus Clarke. That was actually one of my best friends in the world. I had him for 20 years, which was quite the gift. It's quite the incredible gift. His mom, Lori, who's also an incredible gift. She shared something that he had posted on Facebook on October 25th, 2011. So almost 9 years, because this is October 16th today at the time of recording. And I thought it was an incredibly spiritually sophisticated thing that he said. And obviously Lori could see that as well. His mother, she could obviously see that. And I'll just share it with you guys. So this is Cyrus speaking now. It's incredible. So naturally, it's easy to tell that he was downtown in St. John's. So it says, "Down here on the harbor front, the wind is howling, and the water is doing its job. Looking into the thicket of strong natural forces, I see no enemy, only objectives, and welcoming obstacles." And I think that is an incredibly spiritually sophisticated thing to say. Because that takes someone who's walked on air before, when it seems like they walked among us, and maybe only for a second did they float, but it did confer upon them incredible wisdom, and it imparts upon you latent impressions that do change you, change your fate, change your thought. Your thought has this, almost like this compounded set of impressions that make these composite structures through which you understand things, through which you weave your language and your thoughts. I enjoy it because it's like, even I know what he meant, or I don't want to claim I know what he meant for every part, but it's like I can see maybe some people not getting certain parts, like the, I don't want to say the average person because that's such unbecoming language, but maybe, I don't know what else to say, but like maybe people wouldn't resonate with the water doing its job. Because you can depend on water to do its thing, and to be at peace enough to recognize that, and then look into nature, see its brutality, see how small you are, and welcome it. That's something. That's important. That's a big deal. I felt similar things, given there's been times I've went through enough hardship that I couldn't appreciate the external forces because the internal forces were hard enough. So it's almost like there's like sheets. There's like different strata of effects that I was subjected to. And there was one so prime, so right in front of my face everywhere I went, that it didn't really permit me to look into nature and see that it's all fair game. Nature's been sanctioned. It's all been rubber stamped. Someone said this is someone in charge. You know, I have an idea of who I think that is, you know, because I've kind of come around, and even despite my meditative practice, I'm very attracted to Christianity, and I would call my Lord and Savior Yeshua HaMashiach, but, like the Messiah, Jesus Christ, but I understand how not everyone would come to that same conclusion, and I respect that enough, given the implications it could carry may be grave. I'm not sure how to deal with that type of thing with the most grace, you know. But I do know that saying that quote I gave by Cyrus, that has an incredible amount of grace. That has an incredible amount of repose and reservation, yet the ability to just kind of to navigate in such a way that to navigate your life with cohesion with what may come. The water is doing its job. The wind is howling, the water is doing its job, looking into the thicket of strong natural forces. I see no enemy. Just welcome, only objectives and welcoming obstacles. Yeah. Because one thing we can say fairly certainly is that we've been given some type of authority as a co-creator with the creator, because we've been given the ability to effect change. People may ponder over if there's determinism or free will, but I think I've voiced here before that I really do feel like that we've conflated the meaning of both, and that there's to some degree both, because we do feel the agency, yet we feel the agency of free will, but to say that, to think that free will means we're a total sovereign, independent of the forces of nature, is a fair to say an erroneous claim, because what about all the sciences that are able to validly predict things? They're not perfect. But, I mean, we can see that there's order in things. Order enough that things are determined by laws. Yet we do feel that agency, don't we? And then we project the past and the future. Tomorrow never comes, and we always project the past and the present. So really, there's just this eternity in now. Though we feel the succession of events, we feel that in temporal nature. We feel temporal nature, timeness. But it's always now. It's always now. There's no matter where we stand at a point of privilege. Because the statistical probability of you ever coming to exist was so unlikely you can more or less say it was impossible. Yet here you are. So it means you're loved, too. Someone might say, okay, but you just jumped. Maybe you jumped an inference. There's some element that we're chosen. But how can you say we're loved? Because just the nature, it seems like just the nature of the order. I mean, I'll never claim some degree of sophistry, like I really know, like, words fall short, ideas fall short. The Tao that can be named is not the real Tao, Then someone can say, but how can you be a Christian? And it's, I think there's very specific nuance to the way that the Bible is the Word of God, given I think that the Gospels are true. But we can't throw the baby out with the bathwater with every other piece of wisdom, because I'm of the strong conviction that the Bible is mainly to offer you context. More than anything, it does have books of knowledge, but it's not its primary purpose isn't knowledge, because knowledge is vanity at its best. It's trying to get an upper hand against nature. It's trying to get what we want, even if what we want is as benign as just to communicate the thought we're having. It's still to get what we want. But the Bible offers you context that it believes that you should know, which is that we transgress and are often very crooked, and we do wrong things, and that in comparison to the object at the beginning of time, this thing that can't be anything but personal, just because if anything personal exists, it has to be written into its very fabric, into its very intellect. The thing that started everything has to be personal, and it has to hold you accountable. But it says that someone has paid for the remission of your sins, and I guess that's who the Messiah is supposed to be, and I accept that sacrifice. But that's not exactly what we're here to talk about, because Cyrus was very much, he had a fairly zen mind. He had this, it reminds me of the Dharma, because a lot of his wisdom would strike him like lightning, like a vajra, like a diamonds with many faces. And so suddenly, you could see this luminosity. You could tell that he got something, He was really something special. Exceedingly special. He was actually, I think he was the only friend I had for 20 years where we never really had a disagreement or anything, and it's not that disagreements are unhealthy, because you can handle disagreements incredibly gracefully and with lightness and serenity and calmness, and they can be good. They can cause positive reformation. But we were both just so open and agreeable with each other that we never even needed to have a disagreement, which I thought was special. I must have met him 20 years to the week that he left this physical world. And maybe he, excuse me, I'm sorry for coughing like that. And I think maybe that wasn't one of the maybe that his fate wasn't one of the obstacles he welcomed. But irrespective to that, he is just such a blessing. I mean, he stays with me. I don't mean he literally stays with me, or, whatever degree that you can be literal with that. I mean, he persists in me in this way that is a gift to me. an incredible gift. You know, and the world can't really, I'm not sure if it can really afford to lose people like that. But nature does find a way. Like, I'm not trying to like quote Jurassic Park or something when I say that, but it's like nature takes this path of least resistance. It has a way of tying up loose ends, you know. And Cyrus knew that. He was incredibly smart. He was someone that I have no regrets for telling. Like, he'd tell me what he appreciated about me, and I'd tell him what I appreciated about him. Like, you know, like, just no reservation, no fear, like, no weird little apprehension or competitiveness that may be a cause for having reservation in those areas. To honor those that have passed here physically, I mean, I think it's good to just maybe try to remember what their most sincere desires for you were, and try your best to fulfill them, you know. I don't think that anyone that really honestly loved you wants you to really knock yourself off your path so really significantly just for something they wanted. But say that their desires that were sincere and just had to do with maybe observing certain things, like maintaining certain observances. You continue doing certain things, and maybe stopping doing certain things. Like stopping, like, you know, a bad thing you do to yourself. Like maybe you smoke too many cigarettes, or maybe you drink too much, or do too much of this drug or something like that, or maybe you swear too much, or maybe you forget to be grateful or something. Like, you look at them, you think of what they did and what they'd want from you in their most sincere way. Because the most important people that I've lost are basically Cyrus and my grandmother. They're the ones that immediately spring up, just like, it's an everyday thing, man. Because I've lost a decent amount of people. But they're the ones that pop up as huge. Look, I mean, every person is infinitely important, and comes from infinite realms of light, or unthinkable realms of light, just to be here. But those two are the biggest ones for me. And I'm thankful that they happen to be two that Cyrus would say to me. For example, he'd say what he appreciated about me, and I'd have no reservation about saying, man, I love you, dude. I care about this and that with you, and I think I appreciate this and that about you. And that was certainly the case with my grandmother as well. I'd go up and have tea with her, and I'd make sure to probe her and ask her certain things that I knew weren't being asked. So I have these little gems. I like mining gems out of people, like, not like I'm stealing them, but we share. Because that's the nature of the gems that I go for. They can only be shared. The gems that I like, they can't be hoarded. I mean, I guess you could, but you're not stealing from someone if you've received one. And then that's kind of natural, where if you think about it, you probably want to share it. And that Lori shared, she definitely saw that with Cyrus. She wanted to share that quote, that status he posted. And I certainly wanted to as well. And I wanted to just reflect on it as well because it's a gem. It's a gem. Struck him like lightning, like a Vajra. Luminosity, this desert, many-faced diamond. You can speculate on it for some time. For some time. When it comes to honoring the dead, the people that have passed, you know, when you say the dead, it carries implications. You don't want to sound grievous, because I really do know, oh my god, I hate saying that. I apologize. But I just know that we're all taken care of. To have been permitted to be here in the first place, I mean, as much as you can be taken care of, you're taken care of. And that conviction in me really gives me a lot of relief. And it's not just to serve that purpose, because someone may think that it's just some quasi-religious conviction that only serves the purpose as some convenience to give me a relief, and I'll see whatever I want as confirmation bias to inform legitimacy, to inform the legitimacy of that conviction. But it isn't the case. I've tried to think of the opposite, and I've humored to the extent I can, if we may not be, and if, like, you know, and I've speculated much on the immortality or mortality of the soul, the implications of consciousness, even just the statistical probabilities of ever coming to be, and consciousness ever coming to be, and this, any semblance of the current situation that we have coming to be in. If we can't call it holy, then I think you're really missing something, because it's astonishing. It's astonishing. So every second we have with someone is like surplus value. Not to turn it into some, sounds capitalist, like, and I'm not saying I'm against capitalism necessarily, but it's not meant to be here in this conversation. But it's like every second, it's like it's something positive, it's an increase, you know? It's a gift that every second is like a mind gem, but it's not a regular gem that's meant to just be held up in a bank vault or traded to the end of time. It's one that can be shared and duplicated and given all around, and it's contagious and it's luminous. Chases away darkness if you let it. If you shine it upon the darkness. I think when in considering the people that have passed, generally none of them would want a fate for you where you're so incredibly disaffected or jaded or constantly upset that it really changes every second of every day. But sometimes we can't help that, which is sad. But I do believe you can live in a state like that and still see and maybe it'll even make it easier to see the preciousness of every moment. And the preciousness of all the people you love. And the people you've gotten a chance with. It was all a gift. It was all extra. You didn't It didn't need to ever come, but it did. And just reflect on that for a moment. It did come. All these things that didn't ever have to bless us. They came and they blossomed like a flower. And like anything, things have their seasons. And things come and go. But there are certain things so prime and so huge that they do have quite the position of privilege in all of creation. To be a conscious being is really like to have taken human birth, which is an incredibly a Buddhist phrasing or dharmic phrasing of me, but it's incredible. Okay, let's just keep going with the Buddhist phrasing. It's incredibly auspicious. It's incredible. It's like a lucky blessing, like, didn't have to happen, but it did. Miracle. You know? And sometimes when we're upset about maybe something small, sometimes like the big losses really change the way you think of the small ones, because you go back over the small ones and you'd have small ones every day just to you'd trade them in for the big one to not happen, you know. But like I said, it's I do think the position of privilege we hold as conscious beings, among the statistical improbability, pretty much impossibility of your existence, how much energy it takes for anything to exist in the first place, the order in nature that everything's just held together and exalted, and everything has a stewardship over it on a cosmic level, sustaining it, keeping it held together and alive, keeping it together. Do you think it would be hard for that thing to take care of everyone, when every single person is like the center of an axis around which everything moves? Because everywhere I go, I'm the center of my experience. It seems like everything kind of moves around me. And think about how everyone's experience probably takes a lot of energy, but a lot of people's experience, they're all the center of everywhere they go, of like their own little nexus. And we know now with just advances in science that we aren't to understand the outside world on a Newtonian model where we literally assume that what we're perceiving is the outside world because our sensory organs, they take electrical signals and basically creates an experience in our brain of the outside world. So the people we see, the roads we drive or walk on, they're us, and we shine the sun, which is us, and our brain creates the sense of space between us and it when it's actually all us. If you actually, you know what, in the description I might put a link to a video called Perception, the Reality Beyond Matter, because for the most part in the video, for most of the video at least, it just talks about how science understands now that our sensory organs take in electricity and makes an experience out of it. So we look at a skull and we think that light can't get through, but the only light we experience is inside ourselves. It's not like our experience that we see is just shot into our eyes and then it's in our brain like that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying we're literally seeing electrical signals that they're not like what we actually experience as sight. This is all a constructed experience inside your brain, but who knows what the brain is when the brain is just a form that we experience as well. It's huge. Yeah, I'll post a link to that video because I can't really get into all of that here right now. But we're in a position of privilege. We're incredibly important, whatever that means. You know what it means because you can feel it, and you see when you look at someone else just the power that's there. You know, and it might inspire you to work on yourself and maybe to remember to make sure people know, make sure you let your loved ones know that you love them and tell them what you appreciate about them. And maybe probe them for things that you don't want to lose, you know? Ask them for insights that it would be a loss if you say you would never get to see them again and you wouldn't have those insights. You have to not take the moment for granted and you need to ask for that. Me and Cyrus definitely had a lot of conversations. I know what a lot of his very influential favorite books are, and I know what a lot of his favorite music is. One thing I don't know a lot of is a lot of his favorite TV. He likes a lot of anime and stuff like that. I know certain shows he likes and stuff like that. But like as far as yeah, it's like as far as like music and a lot of his thought and his favorite and books that were very influential from, I am very thankful that I've retained what they are. So it's like something that we share still, because I can go and I read them, and I can go and look at them, or I can listen to his corpus of music, his body of music that he created, which is very interesting and very incredible. With my grandmother, I have many answers to questions that no one ever asked her besides me, and I'm glad I can share them with my mother. And you know, I'm grateful that I didn't slip up totally in those aspects. We can't be perfect with it. And you know, when someone's really important to you, if you could have a day with them again, I mean, how would you ever ask them enough? It's more likely you just hold on to them and just tell them you love them and try to just relax into their presence. You know, but you probably would ask them a lot of questions if you could as well. And it's good to just get them now, before we're just fantasizing when it's too late. It's good to honor those who have passed after they've passed, but honor those that will pass, because everyone comes and goes like seasons like this, and they're all important, and despite them being taken care of, we still need to recognize the position we're in with them and try to not take advantage of it, but like really be there with it, and don't do ourselves a disservice. Don't cheat our future selves out of something that we can have of these incredibly important people. So anyways, I think this video is plenty long. I didn't really want to make it this long, but if I'm just kind of like relaxedly reflecting on these things, I can do it for quite some time. But anyways, I think I'll just cut it off around here and just say, you should try to be your best self, and don't do your future self a disservice. Ask those people you appreciate, like you have to think of what you'd miss without them and get it now, and then be comfortable with that. Be like, okay, I got that now, and then enjoy and love them like you normally would. Oh, maybe harder than you normally would, because we get just so caught up in the regularity of our everyday lives that maybe that it would escape you a little bit to remember that you should you should be asking about certain things. You should be remembering that you don't want certain things to be lost. You don't want certain things to not go to waste, but just to escape you and to escape us. Certain people are just a bottomless well, though. You could never get enough out of them, but think of the things you really want to know. Think of those gems. You might want to share them with others. Some people are so special that they can't even, only you can see it, they can't see it themselves. Where they're so special that they can't possibly realize how important every little thing about them is. Is that everyone? It actually may be everyone. But anyways, like and subscribe if you were interested, or if you want to see any more content. When I'm gonna just kind of think like this, I think I'm gonna have it be a very relaxed format. I might continue. I'm keeping my eyes open for interviews, but the COVID thing, it makes it a bit more difficult, combined with, just finding the proper people and ones who'd be interested in even doing that kind of like a long form type interview. Anyways, for this type video, I think I'm gonna keep it in this format. Maybe not this like weird corner of the room in the background thing, that's a bit weird, but I'm gonna keep it a fairly relaxed format where I just kind of share some thoughts with you, and maybe it does something for you, maybe it doesn't, but if I'm having these thoughts anyways, I might as well put them out there, So anyways, like and subscribe if you liked it, and maybe drop a comment, or you can give a request, or whatever you want. Alright, thanks guys. If you actually made it to the end of the video, I really appreciate that. That's incredible. And definitely don't forget to like love the ones you love, and don't let what's important totally escape you. Okay. See you guys.